All right, what's up, guys? This is Jay from Conversations with Jay. You know, I give it to you straight, no chase, and we're here at the Diddy trial, day 18. Day 18. And so I got to just get my reporter kind of hat on, update you guys with the notes I took in the courtroom today. It was Jane Doe that was on the stand today all day, and she was still on direct. She was there yesterday on direct, not all day, but she was, I think, half day yesterday on direct, and then all day today on direct. And actually, before we left, they said that she'll probably be most of the day Monday on direct, if not the entire day. And we won't get to the cross until late Monday, early Tuesday. So let's get into a few things that the prosecution really wanted her to testify to. The first one, I didn't really understand this one because it wasn't a RICO predicate, which was she used to pick up drugs for him and bring the drugs to his place. So she would pick up the drugs from, say, LA and bring it to his place in Miami. It is traveling across state lines, but it is not in intent of distribution. He would just bring them for him for his own personal use. They did ask, what would you do? I would go and pick up a package, and then I would put the package in my carry-on, and then I would bring my carry-on onto the plane, and I would bring it to him in his home. They really talked about that. Did you see? How did you know it was drugs? Well, he opened the package. He took something out of the package. What did he take out of the package? They were pills. And what kind of pills? They were pink pills. How do you know that he took pink pills out of the package? Did you see him? Well, before he took anything out of the package, there were no drugs in his bathroom. And then after he took things out of the package, I saw drugs in the bathroom. What were those drugs? They were ecstasy. How did you know they were ecstasy? Because we did them later, right? So those are carrying drugs across state line, but that's not drug trafficking. Remember, drug trafficking is selling drugs for profit. It's not buying drugs, and it's not moving drugs. That's more like a mule. So I didn't really know where they were going with that, except for just trying to paint him more like a mafioso. We're going to use a mule, bring my drugs across state lines, that kind of thing. So I guess that's what they were trying to paint there. Then they moved on to something that was interesting. This was how they would get their entertainment. So remember, with Cassie, they were talking about the freak-offs, and this was like over a decade earlier. Remember, Cassie first said that they were going on Backpage and Craigslist, and that's before they found Cowboys for Angels and stuff like that. Now, fast forward to, I think this started in 2021 to 2023. Fast forward, now they're a little bit different. So now they're not called freak-offs anymore. They call them hotel nights. They don't call them freak-offs anymore. They call them hotel nights, all right? And we're going to get to some other type of nights that they describe as funny, but basically they would be in bed watching adult films, okay? And they would be pleasuring themselves. Now, again, guys, I'm new to YouTube, so I'm going to mess up and say the things that I can't say on YouTube. All right. So they would pleasure themselves with each other, talk about the size of the man's pride. Then they would just kind of banter back and forth. And then she would say something like, I really like that guy. And as they're pleasuring themselves, then he would say, yeah, you like that guy. And I bet you couldn't handle that guy or get that guy, stuff like that. And the next thing you know, she would take up his challenge, and she went on to Instagram. She found him on Instagram, and she messaged him saying, hey, I'm a fan. I really like your work. I really like what you do. They started talking back and forth. After that, they ended up having a FaceTime. What she would do is she would have the FaceTime with him, screen mirror her phone to one of Diddy's TVs. And I don't know if it was in the same room or the other room, but Diddy would watch on the main TV while she was on FaceTiming this guy. And basically they used to have a little freaky time, texting basically on FaceTime, but doing freakiness on FaceTime. Okay. That's how it started. Then over time, she ended up saying, hey, look, I want to set up a meeting with you. And she wanted the guy to come out. This guy, his name, I think his name was Cobra, but they called him Sly. And she also called him Chef because she found out that he liked to cook. They would message back and forth. They flirted a lot. And this is all, again, this to her, she said that most of these conversations were taking place when Diddy was around. Okay. When Puff was around, that's what would happen. So she told Puff, hey, you want me to set up a meetup? I could set up a meetup. And he said, yeah, set up the meetup. This gentleman lived in ATL. So here we get to the transporting for prostitution. This guy lived in ATL and they were in LA. So after she hung out with him online, she wanted to hang out with him in person. She set up a flight. She flew him out and he came and met her in LA. Now, when they got to LA, they basically went on a date. Right? They hung out. She said that she got butterflies. He was so sweet. She said he was nice and cute and sweet and cute and bubbly. Those are the words that she used. Nice and cute and sweet and cute and bubbly. It sounded to me like she kind of had a crush on him, but hey, whatever. She said that they hung out. They had a really great time. And then they went to the hotel. So now we get into when he's going to actually meet Diddy. She did tell Sly that, hey, it's going to be, multiple people here. All right. And he agreed. He said, it's fine. If it's a couples thing, that's fine. If we want to all hang out. One of the keys to remember here is that Puff was reimbursing her for the flight that she booked. Okay. This is how they tied it into, okay, maybe she booked it, but also he reimbursed her. So he gave her the money back. All right. And so that's how they tied it into transporting over state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Now, my side note is there was never agreement to have for money. And this is very important to understand. I know a lot of people, even in the line going in the courtroom today, they were talking about that. And I asked them, I said, how do you think the porn industry works? How do you think OnlyFans collaborations work with two people that one person is here and one person is here? You see, it's a very fine line between paying somebody for their time and experience to come away. Even the two escorts from the Cassie days, they both came on and they were basically saying they're paid for their time and experience. Especially the Punisher, he said, I was paid to come over there and do a dance with them. So there's a very fine line, and it's going to probably come down to closing arguments, but I'm going to bet you guys that the defense is going to put the CEO of Cowboys and Angels, that escort service that they used to get the escort from, they're going to put him on the stand, or somebody who works in that field on the stand. They might put some people who work in the adult film industry on the stand. We're going to put these people on the stand to explain to the jury how these are billion-dollar industries and how these people are making $4 million a year on OnlyFans, as she testified to yesterday, and how these people are making so much money while being paid for their time and experience, but then having after. And it really is kind of weird the way the prosecution is doing it, because they keep asking the witness, where did you get the person from? And then the person will say Cowboys and Angels, for example. So then how can it be illegal to hire somebody from that place, but then it's not illegal for the place to get paid for the person? Think about it, right? It's going to be really interesting. Right now, it's all in the gray area. I'm sure somebody's going to bring it home, but whoever brings it home the better way is going to be the one that wins the argument on the transporting force, because you can pay people to be an escort. As a matter of fact, I know people who have been escorts in the past. Personally, I had an escort in my family. Okay. I know how this works. And so it's really interesting. I know that the rumor goes, well, that person came across state lines, and that means that's a no-go. And that's not really how it works, guys.